Over the last few years, there are a few things that I stopped buying to help us live a more intentional life. Some of these things help save us time and money and also keep us aligned with our goals and our values. So let's have a quick look at what I don't buy anymore. Greeting cards for our immediate family. Now, I will be the first to say that I love to receive a handwritten note with a sentiment from the heart, and these are things that I cherish deeply. So what we do instead is we have a notebook. So when an anniversary or Christmas or a birthday comes up, we write down our sentiments in the notebook. And we have a couple that I like to use, and they're very beautiful and nice quality paper, so that everything is put in one place, and it's a beautiful log that can be cherished and handed down. Shaving cream. I find that a bit of bar soap or some hair conditioner works just as well for shaving, and it's also one less thing I have to buy and store in the bathroom cupboard, and it's less clutter on the side of the bathtub as well. The other thing we don't buy anymore is coffee filters. Now, we make coffee a few different ways, and these are a couple different types of percolator type coffee makers, and this is a Bodum, and none of these require coffee filters. However, I do have some extra ones that have left over, and these make great little snack plates. So we'll use that for popcorn or chips or whatever snacks we're having. Now, this next one is more and more difficult to do because of our modern age, but we try to avoid buying smart appliances. And we've just discovered that the more bells and whistles and features an appliance has, the more chance of things breaking down and having to wait for parts and repair people to come out and fix it. My mom has a chest freezer that she bought in the 1960s that she is still using, and she has a refrigerator in her garage that she's had since the 80s, and that thing went 20 years before it needed a very basic repair. Now, they don't make things like they used to anymore, but we have found that if we buy appliances that have just more basic features and knobs and buttons instead of computer chips and so on, it just lasts a lot longer and there's fewer things that can go wrong with it. So we try to stick with those. Next is salon haircuts and color. I've been to a hair salon once in the last 4 years. One of my coworkers taught me how to trim my hair because I have a very simple layered cut, and so I tried it and I've never looked back. As far as the color goes, I just use a medium or a dark brown box color, and I add a little bit of a plum or a mahogany or a warm brown just to give it some dimension, and I just go with that. The other thing I don't buy are luxury items like handbags, watches, or other accessories. Now, these types of items have a unique place in the fashion industry because they are ridiculously marketable. And many people think a thing like a handbag or a watch is a more practical item, so they're willing to justify spending more money on it than, say, something like a party dress. Now, there's no right or wrong when it comes to these items because it is a completely personal decision. But for me, I pass on these items for a couple of reasons. One is that if I purchase something that is very expensive, I tend to worry about it. I'm always worried about it getting broken or damaged or stained. So it prevents me from enjoying that particular item. I also like to change up my accessories from time to time, so it doesn't make sense for me to spend a lot of money on something if I'm just going to replace it with something else later on. We all value material things to some extent, but I think the problem arises when we get so caught up in having a certain thing that we lose sight of what that item is actually used for. I can certainly appreciate a nice watch and a nice handbag, but at the end of the day, a watch tells us what time it is and a bag is used to hold our stuff. And if you love luxury items like that, that's great. But it's also important to know how these things are actually meant to serve us and how do they impact us physically, emotionally, financially, and use that as a measure of their true worth. Another thing I don't buy is pre-cut fruit. There's no question that fruit that's already cut up is super convenient, but I pass it up at the grocery store every single time for two reasons. Number one, anytime I bought it in the past, it's never tasted super fresh. It's always been kind of mushy and seemed kind of past its prime. And secondly, it's more expensive than just buying the fruit yourself and cutting it up. So now that's what we do. If we want our fruit to last longer, we'll just cut it up and then store it in some glass containers with a tight-fitting lid and keep them in the fridge, and they'll stay fresh longer. The last thing I don't buy is society's definition of success. If we look at the definition of success, it says to accomplish a purpose or an aim. So technically, if you've accomplished what you set out to do, that should be a definition of success. But society has pushed out a slightly different version that is very materialistic, and we see it all around us. Success in our society means wealth, fame, mansions, luxury vehicles. It means social status, all of these types of things. Now, there's nothing wrong with having these things, but I don't think it tells the whole story. Now, my version of success is a little bit different. I'm far more impressed by people's stories of altruism, of courage, of bravery, someone who's providing a good home to raise the next generation in a meaningful way. All of these things have real impact on our society. They bring us and our families honor, and they encourage us to do better and be better as people. So that's my vision of success. Yours might be a little bit different, and share it in the comments if it is, because I'd love to hear it. What are you not buying anymore? Maybe it's a physical item and you've replaced it with something else, or not replaced it at all, or it's a societal idea, and let's share and have a discussion so we can all learn from each other. Take care, everyone, and we'll catch you in the next one.